Hey guys, what is up? I am back with another video. This time I am actually doing a review, which is a little bit different than what I actually do. Oh, my voice. But I'm doing a review of Sword Art Online. I just finished the first season, I guess. I haven't seen Sword Art Online 2, so that's not what this is. Before I start, I want to say major spoiler warning. If you haven't seen it, I would say go watch it. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my first major complaint about Sword Art Online, and that is the fact that the second half is so much worse than the first half. When I say the first half, I mean episodes 1 through 14. Those 14 episodes, they are great. They're really good. I would even put them being like, if those 14 episodes finished better with ended with a second half just as good as the first half, then SAO very well might be one of my favorites, if not my favorite anime of all time. But the second half is way worse. The first half, it's epic, there's great fight scenes, it's a great story, and it's like, okay, they need to get to the top of this death game, and really, it's just really good, and they've got the relationship between Kirito and Azuma, or Azuni, I can't pronounce her name, and it all feels really good. I will say that pacing is a bit fast, but it's consistent, so it kind of works. Now, that's also one thing that makes the second half stick out. With the first half being so good, when the second half is so bad, it sticks out way more. And the thing about the pacing is that the second half moves really slow, and it really feels like they're trying to drag it out and add filler content in it, which annoys the crap out of me, because it's like they didn't even need to make it. They didn't really even need to make the second half, because they still had so much content that they could have just used the first half. They could have filled 30 episodes with all the story concepts that they had for the first half, but they shoved into 14 and then gave us a crap second half. Now, I was originally going to make this a rant video. I chose not to, just simply because the series ended up leaving me with a good taste in my mouth. I thought the last episode was actually pretty good. I thought, it had a good ending, and, well, the main villain for the second half, he got the crap beat out of him in the second half of the second last episode of the second half, and in the last episode. So that was actually really good to see, because that villain was so unlikable. I'm not sure if this makes him a good villain or a bad villain. I really didn't like him just because he was uncomfortable to watch. I think he was doing a bunch of really weird, creepy rape type stuff to the girl, and that it's very uncomfortable, which, I mean, it really should be uncomfortable to watch. I would hope that that's the point, because obviously nobody wants to see that stuff. But it was very uncomfortable. I really didn't like that part. I thought it was very I don't know, I've used the word uncomfortable so many times here, but it was just creepy. I didn't really like it too much. But it did feel really good to see him get the crap beat out of him, so that was good. Also, the character of Kirito, it changes drastically from the first half to the second half, then to the little ending. Because in the first half, he's a loner, he's serious, he has a mission to succeed, and he's determined, but he very much loves Azuna, which is why they settle down for a bit. But in the second half, he does so many so out of character things. He's playing Alfheim Online so that he can go find Azuna, but then it's he goes and he's trying to find her and track her down and rescue her, but then he goes and detours to so many detour? I can't pronounce that. But he goes and he does all these other things first, and it doesn't make any sense. His only mission should be to rescue her. And it's also really annoying because he treats Alfheim Online the same as you would treat Sword Art Online, with death being essentially to him worth the same, which doesn't make sense, because it isn't. He's oh, it's not just a game. Well, but a person's real life is on the line. A person that you love's real life is on the line, and he's going and it's doing all this side crap, when really he should be very determined to get to her, and that's very out of character for him to be doing all the side stuff anyways. Because in the end, Alfheim Online is not Sword Art Online. When you die in Alfheim Online, you do not die in Sword Art. You do not die in real life, like you did in Sword Art Online, which just that's really a big complaint that I have about it. It's like death is not worth the same in the two games, but he treats it as it is, so it just doesn't make any sense. And it's really annoying because you see Azuna just being like held captive and he's off doing random crap when really his number one mission should be to go and get her. But it isn't. And that really annoys me. I heard a lot of people don't like Yui, who was like this little programming girl from the first half. Sorry about that. But she's like this little like program computer adopted child of Azuna and Kirito, but I don't know. I never found her annoying. I found her pretty good. And this is like one of my biggest complaints about the second half. He has this little sister, Kirito does, in real life, and she's in love with him, which is just beyond creepy. Oh, but get this. Here, this part is the worst part. They try to justify and say, oh, it's not weird, because they're only cousins. Do they think that makes it better? And another really big annoying part is, it would have been so easy to just make them step-siblings so that there was no blood relation. But they didn't do that. And because of that, it's just this super creepy, like, relationship thing. And of course he doesn't like her, he likes Azuna, which is good, because that's the only in-character part that he has. And bringing back to the whole Azuna thing, the main villain guy, I can't even remember his name right now, when he's first with Azuna in the hospital and he's poking her face and stuff, Kirito should have punched him right then and there. He should have beat the crap out of him, and he didn't, and that felt very out of character because of what he's doing to her, and he's supposed to love her, but he just doesn't do anything. And that's just bullcrap. And the worst part about the second half really is the fact that the first half, it could have gone so much better, because they didn't even reach the 100th floor in the first half, and it's they rushed through the first half just to give us a crap second half, which makes no sense. And Alfheim Online is not Sword Art Online, and it's why are they playing this other game? It doesn't make any sense. Here's how I would have redone the series. I mean, first off, I would have given at least another episode or two to Azuma and Kirito's relationship, just because it felt very rushed. There was a huge turn. It felt rushed. Just the big turn of, oh, I love you too, right after Kirito killed that guy that was trying to murder them. So, I would give a couple more episodes to that. Not how they did it with, the whole cabin and them already settled down. Just more couple episodes of them getting more used to being in a relationship with each other. Maybe have a few, bumps in the road here and there. Would have added that in. Also, after episode 14, I would have erased the complete second half. And I would have made it so, here's what I would have done. I would have added in 3 episodes. First episode, right when they get out, them finding each other. After the end of episode 14, them finding each other. That's the story of episode 15. Them finding each other, being oh yeah, we found you. Then episode 16 should have been them adjusting to life in the real world. They're having a bunch of trouble. Maybe they have PTSD because of all the terrible things that happen, Sword Art Online. They should have a bunch of trouble readjusting to not being in an RPG. And they shouldn't be going into other RPGs. That's terrible. Then the last episode should wrap everything up. It shows us all the other characters. I would take something that happened in the actual last episode, episode 25, which is they all meet up in that bar and stuff. I would exclude the little sister from the whole story altogether. Just take her out of there. Because she was annoying throughout the entire thing. I did not like her. And just have a big conclusion. Don't have them go back into the game, because that kind of doesn't make sense. Because it's oh, really? A whole dramatic thing? Let's go back into games, guys. No, it doesn't make sense. They shouldn't be doing that. And that's really how I would have done the series differently. And that, brings me to my next little bit. Where are his parents, or his adopted parents, his aunt and uncle? Where are they? because it never says that they died. It doesn't even indicate that they're dead, because if they're dead, both Azuna and Kirito, neither one of them are minors. So it wouldn't make any sense for parents to be dead. We saw the parents when Kirito was in the hospital, so it's like, where are they? Because they aren't even because like they're barely mentioned, and they don't mention where they are throughout this entire series, which should be, very obvious where they are. And the whole thing, the whole second half really felt terrible. The ending was good, I thought, but the first half was infinitely better. Anyways, guys, that was just my little Sword Art Online review, I guess. Kind of a rant, kind of a review, both things. Actually, before I go, let me say a few really good things about the series that happened just throughout the series. I think Kirito's character was well developed. The whole thing where he ended up joining a guild, then everyone died, I think that was a really good scene. It was really led to character development. I think Kirito and Azuma's relationship, that felt really good. Well, it did in the first half. In the second half, it felt not as good. But the first half, it felt really good and organic. Felt like it worked. Yui was, I don't know, a bunch of people found her annoying. I didn't even realize that anyone found her annoying until after I was like reading some reviews about the series. So I was like, oh, well, that's surprising, because I didn't find her annoying at all. Especially with like the little sister being there. That was way more annoying. And yeah, overall, I think the overall series was like well written. The first half, at least. The second half wasn't terrible. Let me say that. Like, it was not terrible. I don't hate the second half. It's like way worse than the first half, which leads to it being like overall just feel worse than it probably is on its own. Okay, so in the end, I would give like the first half an A+. An A+. It was great. Not perfect, but it was really good. Definitely one of my, if it was just the first half alone, I'd give it in my top 5, if not favorite anime of all time. Second half, I'd give it a C. It was acceptable. It was like, okay, I guess. It's very meh. It was very like, well, I'm not super bored, but, I got a little bit bored during, like, some of that stuff that just felt like filler that I was doing, very out of character. And then the ending, I would give an A to the ending, because, with what they had to work with the fairy stuff, I think they gave a really good ending. Sorry about that. Anyways, guys, that's my review of Sword Art Online. I have not watched Sword Art Online 2. I'm about to go do that and do a review on that. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chunks McNugget signing off. Peace.